This week is massive for Brantford Bulldog fans and for the citizens in general. City Council has approved plans for a brand new sports and entertainment complex right beside the original Madhouse on Market. All right, so we are talking about $140 million for a sports and entertainment center that will hold 5,300 seats for hockey events and even more for other types of events. This is going to be the new home of the Brantford Bulldogs, but again, it's not just about hockey. We're talking concerts, trade shows, and other events that will bring a ton of energy and visitors to downtown. I mean, the Bulldog effect is already real. It's estimated that the Bulldogs will bring over $4 million annually to our local economy, with $900,000 of that money coming from out-of-town visitors. How the heck are we supposed to pay for a $140 million building? The city has approved a $140 million debenture. Now, a debenture is a loan that will be paid back over 30 years. The annual payments come with a hefty price tag. $8.4 million. But here's where things get interesting. The city has several revenue sources lined up to help offset these costs. First, there's the naming rights of the building. I mean, I don't have the $5 million that they're probably going to request for the naming rights, but Matt's Madhouse on Market Street has a nice ring to it. Now, there's also corporate sponsorships that come into play, and that would add on another $2.5 to $5 million. On top of that, property sales of city-owned land are expected to generate between $5.1 and $7 million. And lastly, there's the municipal accommodation tax, expected to contribute around $400,000 a year. All these revenue streams are designed to bring the costs down, but even with that, we are still looking at a big investment as a city. In order to get into the risks, we got to get geeky for a second. Financing a project of this size does definitely come with some challenges. Brantford's annual repayment limit set by the province is 25% of our net revenues. And that figure from 2023 would put us in and around $76.9 million that the city can put towards debt servicing costs, essentially the interest and principal payments on any loans that the city pulls out. So with the SEC project, Brantford's total debt servicing costs are projected to be around just over $17 million, which is well below that ARL, annual repayment limit, cap. So from a financial standpoint, the city is well within their legal borrowing limit, and that's good news. Now, I want to take a side note here, and again, I said we were going to get geeky. There are 11 cities in Ontario that are between the population numbers of 100,000 and 160. Out of the cities I was able to pull financial information from, I have this chart here. And as you can see, even when we add the $8.4 million debt servicing costs that the SEC would bring to Brantford, Brantford's still second on that list. They're second only to Guelph, and there's marginal dollars there separating first and second. Now, I'm not an advocate of loading the debt, but when this debt can be looked at as an investment into our local economy, it's a lot easier pill to swallow. Now, this plan isn't just all hopes and dreams. They have a plan on how to balance that extra $8.4 million per year. A key part of the city's plan is relying on $9.5 million in new property tax revenues from developments in and around the SEC. This is what makes this building so important, because a lot of the developments that are slated for properties in and around the civic center and the lower downtown area are waiting to see what would happen with this project. With the green light given by council, now we're likely to see more applications come through, broader plans, and bringing more opportunities not only for residential units, commercial units, or institutional units, but employment opportunities that come with those as well. Now, this kind of revenue streaming is called incremental property tax revenue streaming. And basically how to explain it is as follows. Incremental property tax streaming is when you have a property that's valued at a certain low amount pre-development. Once it's developed fully, that tax bracket it's in raises. So it's worth more in property taxes than its original format once it's fully developed. City of Brantford's plan is to take that chunk that it's increased by and allocate that to offsetting the SEC costs. Now, there's a number of different properties that they plan on doing this, and as you can see by this table here, there's a significant difference between the property taxes generated just based on the land or the existing property or buildings that they have now versus their development potential. Now, the city is estimating that $9.5 million a year will be generated from the development of these properties based on the incremental property tax, and that would be allocated to offset the 8.4 million of the debt servicing costs of the SEC. Did I lose anybody yet? Essentially, the city's looking forward to these plots of land or buildings being redeveloped so that more property tax can be charged to them, and the difference between the original property tax and the new property tax would be put towards paying off the SEC debt. Pretty simple. So what's the catch? Well, a lot of these developments haven't even started construction yet, so it could be a number of years before we see these incremental property taxes. So in the meantime, the city does plan on selling some of the properties that they've earmarked for this project to offset some of these costs. They'll sell them now and hold this money in a reserve fund in order to pay that annual debt servicing cost. So while the plan looks solid, there's always a risk if these developments don't happen on schedule. Again, I got to take a look at the good and the bad. This kind of segues us into what people are saying about this project. I mean, there is support for this project. There's a lot of support for this project, but there are some naysayers, some negative Nellies that definitely do not want to see this take place. In fact, a couple were at the council meeting where I was on this week, and they voiced their concerns. They mainly revolved around the hospital, which is one of the 3 H's of social needs that this city has. We have a homeless population which is concentrated in our downtown that we definitely need to help out. They are our most vulnerable population. We do have an affordable housing issue, which is an offshoot of our homeless issue. And of course, the hospital. That is going to be the big juggernaut that everyone's going to talk about. Now, it's not necessarily we can do one or the other. The city is capable of chewing gum and walking at the same time, evidenced by the fact that we've just this week, by the time this video aired, Lucy Marco Place will be open, which is a brand new facility that was reworked from the Wilfrid Laurier residences and has now turned into affordable housing. We have a big chunk of coin sitting in a hospital reserve fund, which has been raised in a very short amount of time. Something that has been said has not been done by any other city needing a new hospital to date. And of course, the residents for Fox Ridge is moving to a new location at Linden Road, and the city agreed to take over the existing building to make it a shelter and support center, and the timeline for that should be sometime next year. So just in recent memory, just in recent history, we already have examples of the city addressing all 3 of these very important social needs, all while creating this plan for a brand new sports and entertainment center. Ward 2 Councillor John Celeste said it best. We're not in the 1980s anymore, and we have to stop thinking that way. He referred to this project as a major turning point for Brantford, and a lot of residents believe that the SEC will revitalize our downtown and boost local businesses. Now, the ripple effect of the SEC being built is going to be massive. We have a number of developments slated for in and around the area, especially across the street, 50 Market Street South, which is turning the Freshco Plaza into this $1.5 billion behemoth of residential, commercial, and institutional units. Some naysayers aren't even looking at some of the social needs of Brantford as a reason why they're poo-pooing the project. They're looking at infrastructure, specifically traffic and parking. Now, traffic and parking is addressed in these reports, and as far as traffic flow goes, we've been lucky in Brantford not to have to deal with a lot of traffic in our downtown, but with being a city of now over 100,000, it's just going to have to be a reality we deal with. They've looked at the intersections both on Bulldog game days and on off days, and we're flowing just fine as long as people, use your turn signal every once in a while. That's a whole other video. Now, building the new SEC right in the parking lot of the Madhouse on Market does eat up some spots. And in the report, you will see that there is plenty of parking within walking distance of the arena in order to cover even its most capacity days. There's also plans for accommodations for accessible parking spots as well as drop-off areas to make sure that we can get everyone everybody to the arena. The Niagara Ice Dogs at the Meridian Center, most of their fans have to walk across what I would call something comparable to the Lorne Bridge here in Brantford in order to get to the parking area. They only have accessible spots in and around the arena. Speaking of accessibility, Councillor Hunt during this meeting brought up a very good point. She has yet to be able to attend a Bulldogs game because she uses a wheelchair, and the Civic Center, built way back in the 1960s, isn't up to today's accessibility standards. So one of our very own councillors hasn't been able to just experience what it is to be in the Madhouse at Market because the building can't accommodate her needs, and she's not the only one. Bulldogs fans or event fans alike, they should all be able to attend these events even if they need separate accommodations in order to do so. This is something that the Madhouse on Market Street, although enjoyable and loud, can't accommodate. So again, accommodating all citizens, events of all different types, putting $13.2 million annually into the local economy, supporting local restaurants, hotels, shops, surrounding developments, like I touched on earlier, will bring new residential units, commercial spaces, hotels, and could create a ripple effect of growth throughout downtown that we desperately need in Brantford if we're going to grow and prosper economically. This is also expected to create 100 permanent jobs, and let's be honest, having a venue like this is going to give Brantford a major reputation boost. We're talking concerts, sports events, and more reasons for people to visit our city and spend money in it. So that's the plan right now for Brantford's SEC, the brand new Sports and Entertainment Center. Personally, I'm excited to see how this unfolds. There's a lot of potential for economic growth and community pride, but at the same time, there are valid concerns about finances, and it all hinges on those new property developments coming through on time. This might become a segment. I watch council, so you don't have to. It's not always going to be about the Bulldogs, but I'm watching anyways. I might as well tell you guys what's going on, right? So what do you think? Is this a smart investment for Brantford, or are we taking on too much debt? Let me know in the comments below, but in the meantime, I'll see you at the Madhouse on Market, baby. Go Dogs, go!